Hello everybody, welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm Brian Stuart. We're on Unit 2, Lesson 3. We're talking about keeping warm, and we're going to focus on the question, what keeps polar bears warm? This is a polar bear, two polar bears, and polar bears here too. What keeps polar bears warm? Keep warm, right? Nice and warm. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at in this lesson. Let's take a look at the vocabulary from Book A. Okay, we've come to our first word. Now we see the picture. This is what it is, and this is the definition. So let's go over the definition. A warm coat with sleeves. It's very similar to coat. Coat and another word mean the same thing. What is the other word? We say jacket. 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 Jacket and coat are basically the same, right? We say jacket for the covering that we wear. It's the same as a coat. We wear them in the winter, or when it's cold outside, we want to stay warm, put on a jacket. Put on a coat. Same thing. The next one is another type of clothing that we wear when it's cold outside. But we wear these over our hands. So this is the picture. The warm thing that you wear on your hand. So if I wear it on my hand, right? I put it on. What is it? What do we call that? We call that a glove. This is a glove. This is a very colorful glove. This is a very warm glove, right? So we wear gloves when we want to stay warm. A glove. Very easy. Okay, the next word. That's so cute, isn't it? Okay. To hold. It's a verb. We're looking for a verb. To hold somebody close in your arms. So to hold, that's a verb. To hold somebody close in your arms. Like, wow, these very cute monkeys, right? They're holding each other. They love each other, right? Maybe they're doing it to stay warm too. But in this case, we say cuddle. Cuddle. These two monkeys are cuddling. By the way, you may have thought hug. Hug. What's the difference between hug and cuddle? 이거 하고 어떻게 다르니, right? What's the difference between hug and cuddle? Hug is very quick. It's like you see your friend. Hey, how are you doing? You hug that person. Done. Finished. Quick. But cuddle is a long time, right? And be careful. Cuddle usually means like romantic, right? Boyfriend or girlfriend, or parent and child. That's not romantic, right? But that's just people who hold on to each other for a long time, right? Cuddle and maybe, pet the hair or something. You cuddle. You might cuddle your pet if you have a dog or a cat. You cuddle that pet for a long time. Hug, done, finished, okay? So hug is short time, cuddle is for a longer time. So to cuddle, to hold somebody close in your arms. Okay. Not thin. Whoa, look at that book. Can you read that book? It would take a very, very long time to read this book. Why? Because it's not thin. It's not a thin book. It's really thick. It's a thick book. So if we see something that is very wide, right, like this, then we say it's thick. It has a lot of thickness. Not thin. Thin is like this. Thick is like this, right? Okay, so thick, not thin. The next word we have, look at this. It looks very soft, right? You can put your hand on it and it feels very soft, right? It's hair that covers an animal's body. An animal's body, not human, right? If it's hair that covers an animal's body, we call it fur. Fur. Not human. Do not say human fur. We say hair, right? So for humans, humans have hair. Animals have fur. So humans have hair on their head. If we have hair on our arms, it's not fur, it's hair, okay? Humans have hair, animals have fur. And animals have a lot of fur. If you have a dog or a cat, they have fur all over their body. So an animal's fur. Hair that covers an animal's body. It covers it everywhere. Next is a piece of cloth that you wear. It's a type of clothing. A piece of cloth that you wear, there are many types of clothing. This one you wear around your neck. Here it is, right? So if it's cold outside, you wear this and you put it around your neck. It keeps your neck warm. Because it's very cold outside. You can put it up over your face, right? To protect your nose and your mouth. So some people wear it up here if it's really cold. What do we call it? We call it a scarf. Scarf. S-C. Scarf. Scarf. Okay? And then R-F at the end. Scarf. Okay? That's one scarf. But if we have many, 2, 3, 4, 5, or many, we say scarves. Scarves. Okay? You guys try. Scarves. Scarves. Okay? So we have V and S. Scarves. Okay? Don't pronounce the E. Scarves. So one scarf, two scarves. Okay? So scarf is singular, plural is scarves. Another piece of clothing that we wear to keep warm. Okay, the next word is a large animal with thick fur. That's a very simple definition. We're looking for this animal here because there are many large animals with thick fur, right? But we're looking for this specific one. Where do we find him? We find him at the North Pole. At the North Pole, way up north, we find this animal, large animal with thick fur. We call this animal a bear, right? Now, there are many kinds of bears, right? This is a polar bear. A polar bear. A polar bear is a bear that lives at the North Pole. It's very large. It has thick fur. Not all bears live at the North Pole. There are other bears that live further south, like black bears, brown bears, okay? Many types of bears. But the bear that lives at the North Pole is a polar bear. Okay. Next word, having a low temperature. If something has a low temperature, low, what do we say? It is cold. It's cold. Outside, in the winter time, it is cold. It has a low temperature. Temperature is the number that says how cold or how hot it is outside or inside. What is the temperature of the air, right? If it's a low temperature, it's cold. If it's a high temperature, it's hot, okay? Okay, but what about not very hot or very cold? So we have hot, high temperature. We have cold, low temperature, high temperature, low temperature. But we want in the middle, not very hot, not very cold, in between. We say it's warm. So warm. Warm is between hot and cold. It's not high temperature, it's not low temperature, it's in the middle. It's warm. Usually we are warm. In your house, it's warm. At your school, I hope it's warm because they're inside. We like to have the temperature to be warm. That's normal. Not very hot, not very cold. It's warm, in the middle. Okay. Here we have another piece of clothing. Another piece of clothing. This is something you wear on your head. So you put it on your head, right? There are many styles, many types. This is one style. It's a woman's style. A woman would wear this. This is a hat. Very easy. Hat. Do you have a hat? Sometimes you can say a cap, like a baseball cap is very common. Baseball cap, right? That's the cap that you put on your head. It has the long part out here that protects your face from the sun. Most hats protect your face from the sun, but there are many styles of hats, many different types of hats. Okay. Now, here we have an interesting word, the soft part of your body under your skin. So under my skin, it's soft, right? Yeah, my stomach is soft, right? If it's hard, it's not this. But if it's soft, what do we call it? We call it fat. So under my skin, on my belly, on my stomach, that is fat, right? If you work out, if you exercise, it's not fat, then it's muscle. If it's hard, it's muscle. If it's soft and weak, then it's fat. But fat keeps you warm, right? Okay, so fat. The soft part of your body under your skin is fat. But if you have a lot of fat, you're warm. But you shouldn't have too much fat, right? You should also have muscle. Okay. An animal that lives in the water. An animal that lives in the water. Like this animal right here, that animal lives in the water. It breathes. It breathes in the water. What is it? It is, of course, a fish. Fish are very common and they live in the water. Fish are common animals that live in the water. Sometimes they jump out of the water, and they're fish. Fish. Okay, now we've come to our exercise. Our exercise is to match the words with their definitions. So we learned a lot of words, right? How well do you remember? Let's look at the exercise. What are our words? First, jacket. Jacket. Gloves. Gloves. Then thick. Thick. Cuddle. Oh, that's cute, right? Cuddle. Cuddle. Scarf. Scarf. And fur. Fur. These are our 6 words. We should match these words to the definitions or the sentences. We have to put these words in a sentence. So we have a sentence with a blank. What word goes into these blanks? Number 1, bears have beep to keep them warm. So what word should we put in this blank? What do bears have on their skin to keep them warm? Not just bears, but all animals. It's the hair that covers all the animal's body. What do we call it? Remember, humans don't have this. Humans have hair, animals have fur. Bears have fur to keep them warm. They have a lot of hair, it keeps them warm. Like dogs and cats and other types of animals have fur. Okay, number 2. I put my beep around my neck. So it's cold outside, right? You put a piece of cloth around your neck to keep warm. And sometimes you can put it above your nose and your mouth to keep your mouth and nose warm also when it's cold outside. It's very useful, but it keeps you warm around here. Well, of course, what is it? It is a scarf. I put my scarf around my neck to keep warm. Number 3, my sweater. Sweater, what is a sweater? A sweater is another type of clothing, right? It's like a shirt, but usually it doesn't have buttons. It's a shirt we put on. It's thick. It keeps us warm. So, my sweater is beep, so I am warm. Of course, your sweater can be thin or it can be what? It can be thick. My sweater is thick, so I am warm. If you have a thin sweater, it's not so warm. But if you have a really thick sweater, right? Very thick, whoa, it's very warm. So my sweater is thick, so I am warm. Remember, thick and thin. So hopefully your sweater is thick. Your jacket can be thick. You can have a thick jacket or a thin jacket. If you want to stay warm, get a thick jacket to stay warm. Okay. Number 4, my dog likes to beep. What does my dog like to do? Likes to, we're looking for a verb. Okay, so which verb do we see here? There's really only one verb that can fit. So it's a little hard because we're not sure what dogs like to do many things, but we can do elimination. My dog likes to jacket, that's not a verb. Gloves, that's not a verb. Thick, that's not a verb. Cuddle, oh, there's our verb. Are there any other verbs? Scarf, not a verb. Fur, not a verb. Cuddle is our only verb. It must be the answer. My dog likes to cuddle. Yes, and that's nice, right? If you have your dog, you like to cuddle it, right? He likes to come over and lick your face and cuddle you, right? So, my dog likes to cuddle. 5, these beep keep my hands warm. Now, we have a clue because these is plural. Not one, but 2 or more. Usually 2 when we put clothes on, right? Glasses, it's plural. Shoes, plural. What else is plural here? Jacket, gloves. Gloves is plural. These gloves keep my hands warm. You put gloves on your hands, and we know it's plural. Gloves. Don't just have one glove. You're not Michael Jackson, right? If you go outside, you have 2 gloves. They keep both hands warm. Okay. Number 6. It is cold. It is cold, so I zip up. Zip up, right? That's a zipper on the front of many clothes, right? You zip up your what? What has a zipper? What keeps you warm when it's cold outside? You wear it on your upper body. Of course, we're looking for jacket. You zip up your jacket. Zip up, of course, is the zipper in the front. Zipper. You close the zipper. Close the zipper, open the zipper. Zip up, zip down. So you zip up your jacket. Zip it up, okay? Of course, it's cold, so zip up your jacket. Whew, you stay warm. Okay, those are our words that we put in the sentences. That's the end of the vocabulary part. Let's take a short break. We'll come back and look at the reading section. Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going over the reading section for Lesson 3, and the topic for Lesson 3 is keeping warm. Keeping warm, to make sure you're not too cold. Let's take a look at the reading passage. First of all, we have polar bears live in a very cold place. A very cold place. Wow, look at the snow and the ice. It's very cold. Where is it? Before I told you, North Pole. So polar bears live in a very cold place at the North Pole. A lot of snow and ice. There is a lot of ice and snow, as we can see. What keeps them warm? How do these polar bears stay warm? What keeps them warm? That's the question. We need to read more to find out. But first, let's review very quickly. Polar bears live in a very cold place. There is a lot of ice and snow. What keeps them warm? What is it? Let's continue. Polar bears, they. When we see they, we're talking about polar bears. Polar bears. Polar bears. Polar bears, they. They don't wear jackets. They don't wear jackets. We don't see bears wearing jackets. They don't wear gloves, right? They don't wear gloves. Fur keeps them warm. It's their fur. Wow, look at that. Really thick fur. The fur keeps them warm. The polar bears have white fur. It's white, right? And their fur is very thick. Wow, you can really see that. It's really thick fur. Polar bears have white, thick fur to keep them warm. Why is it white? So they can hunt other animals. They can't see them because white is the same color as snow. So polar bears are hard to see at the North Pole. So polar bears have white fur and their fur is very thick. It keeps them warm because they don't wear jackets. They don't wear jackets. They don't wear gloves. People wear jackets and gloves. Okay? Let's review. They don't wear jackets. They don't wear jackets. They don't wear gloves. Fur keeps them warm. It's the fur. Polar bears have white fur. They're polar bears. Their fur is very thick. Their fur is very thick. That's how they stay warm. Okay, let's continue. What else keeps them warm? What else? We know fur. Fur keeps them warm, yes, but what else? What's more? Is there anything else that keeps them warm? What else keeps them warm? Fur, yeah, we know that. But what else keeps them warm? Is there something else? Do they wear hats? A polar bear wears a hat? Do they wear scarves? No, they don't. Polar bears don't wear hats. They don't wear scarves. No, they don't. They don't wear these things. Let's review here very quickly. What else keeps them warm? Do they wear hats? Do they wear scarves? No, they don't. Okay? What is it? Let's find out. But, right? They don't wear hats. They don't wear scarves, but they do have a lot of fat. Fat keeps them warm. So fat keeps polar bears warm. Not halves, not hats, not scarves, but fat. Fur and fat keep polar bears warm. So there's two things that keep polar bears warm. Fur, thick fur, and they also have fat. Fat keeps them warm too. So two things keep them warm. Let's review. But they do have a lot of fat. A lot of fat. Fat keeps them warm. Fur and fat keep polar bears warm. So two things that keep polar bears warm. Good for polar bears, right? Okay. Here we have polar bears stay warm in the snow. There's a lot of snow, but even so, they stay warm in the snow. They stay warm on the ice. In the snow, on the ice. So we say in the snow, but we say on the ice. Not in the ice, that's really cold, right? But we can say in the snow, okay? They stay warm in the snow, they stay warm on the ice. Polar bears stay warm in cold water too. Polar bears go swimming in that water. Ooh, it's really cold. But they stay warm in the water. They swim very well. Polar bears are good swimmers. Okay? Are you a good swimmer? Polar bears are very good swimmers. They can swim in very cold water. Why? Polar bears like to eat fish, so they can swim and catch the fish in their mouth, right? They catch the fish that way, or they wait for the fish to come near the water, and then they get the fish. They swim and find fish to eat. Okay, so let's review here. Polar bears stay warm in the snow. They stay warm on the ice. Polar bears stay warm in cold water too. They swim very well. Polar bears like to eat fish. They swim and find fish to eat. Okay, what else keeps them warm? What else? We talked about fur. We talked about fat. What else keeps them warm? Is there something else? Another thing? Yes, there is. Cuddling. Aw, very cute. Kyupchio, right? Polar bears cuddle, right? They stay close together to each other. Cuddling keeps them warm. Polar bears like to cuddle. They like to hold on to their sisters and brothers and their family, right? They hold on to each other. They cuddle. So polar bears stay close to each other to keep them warm. So there's three things that keep polar bears warm: fur, fat, and cuddling. Okay, so these things keep polar bears warm. Let's review. What else? What else keeps them warm? Cuddling. Cuddling keeps them warm. Polar bears like to cuddle. Polar bears like to cuddle. Okay, let's do our reading comprehension. How well do you remember the reading? We have a sentence here, but there's a blank. Beep, right? We have to fill in the blank with one of these words. Only one is the correct answer. Let's look. This story is about. What is this story about? Remember what the subject is. What are we talking about in the story? What's the main subject? We're talking about A, vegetables, B, fat people, C, polar bears, D, warm places. Which is the correct answer? Vegetables? Now, we're not talking about plants that we eat. We're talking about fat people? No, we're not talking about fat people. We didn't talk about people at all. So we're not talking about people at all. Fat people, thin people, not anybody. See, polar bears. Aha, we're talking about polar bears, right? Because we're talking about ways that polar bears stay warm, but the story is about polar bears, right? D, warm places? No, polar bears live in the North Pole. It's not a warm place, it's a very cold place. So, this story is about polar bears. That's our best answer. Okay, number two. Number two, 힘들어. Beep and beep, right? We have two blanks. We have to fill in two blanks for this sentence. Let's look at the rest of the sentence. We have beep and beep. Keep polar bears warm. So, we're looking for two things that keep polar bears warm. Remember, we talked about three, but we only want two for this answer. So, what are they? A, jackets, gloves. B, blood, exercise. C, penguins, snow. And D, fur and fat. Let's take a look. A, jackets and gloves. In the story, we saw that polar bears don't wear jackets. They don't wear gloves, right? That's crazy. Animals don't wear clothes. Only humans wear clothes. So that's not correct, right? B, blood. Blood and exercise. Polar bears are exercising at the North Pole? No, that would be very funny, right? You see polar bears doing push-ups. Okay? No, that's not correct. Okay? C, penguins and snow. Penguins are at the South Pole. Penguins aren't at the North Pole. So polar bears never see penguins. Polar bears don't know about penguins. Snow? Snow is cold. It doesn't keep people warm. So that's not correct. D, fur and fat. Those are two things we talked about in the reading passage, right? Fur. Polar bears have thick fur and they have fat. that keeps them warm. They also cuddle, but we're only looking for two, 1, 2. So fur and fat, those are the two that we need to fill in the blanks. Fur and fat keep polar bears warm. Okay? Also cuddling, but cuddling's not here. We only need two. We only need two. Okay. Number 3. Polar bears like to eat. What do polar bears like to eat? Remember, they can swim very well, so they can find something to eat. What do they find? A, fish, B, snow, C, carrots, D, kimbap. Yes, kimbap, right? So, at the North Pole, polar bears can find people, right? Hello, can I have some kimbap, please, right? No, that's crazy, right? Polar bears cannot go to the kage, or the supermarket, and buy kimbap, right? No, that's silly. Polar bears like to eat carrots. Do carrots grow at the North Pole in the snow and the ice? No, carrots don't grow at the North Pole. That's silly. Polar bears like to eat snow. We don't eat snow. Don't eat snow. That'll make you cold. And besides, snow is not food. It's frozen water. So polar bears don't eat snow. Polar bears eat fish, don't they? So that's the right answer. Polar bears like to eat fish. They can swim to find and catch fish, to find and eat the fish. Polar bears will eat fish. Okay. Now we have our chart here, okay? We can see that there are 3 things that keeps polar bears warm. What keeps polar bears warm? 1, 2, and 3. Actually, 1, 2, and 3. Let's look at them in each picture. First of all, we can see this here. Wow, it looks very soft, right? It's very thick. It's white. It covers the polar bears completely. What is it? We say it's fur. Fur keeps polar bears warm. So a lot of fur keeps polar bears warm. Also, we can see fur here, but also what else do polar bears have that keeps them warm? If we look at this polar bear, he looks very big, right? He might have a big stomach. If he eats a lot, he'll have a big stomach. If he doesn't eat, he doesn't have this. But it's very important. Fat. Fat keeps polar bears warm. So if a polar bear eats a lot of fish or other food, he has a lot of fat, and that keeps the bear warm. What are these polar bears doing? They like each other, right? They're kind of hugging each other. For a long time, they stay close to each other. So also cuddling, ing. Cuddling keeps polar bears warm. If you do something for a long time, you are doing it. You are cuddling. Cuddling keeps polar bears warm. So we can see in this chart 3 things that keep polar bears warm. 1, fur keeps polar bears warm. 2, fat keeps polar bears warm. And 3, cuddling keeps polar bears warm. So when we talk about polar bears, of course we know polar bears live in the North Pole. There's a lot of snow and ice there. So we think, what keeps them warm? Animals have to stay warm. These 3 things will keep polar bears warm. Not just polar bears, but all animals, right? Animals have hair to keep them warm. Animals have fat to keep them warm. And animals will cuddle with each other to stay warm. So it's not just polar bears, but many types of animals will do these things also. Okay, I hope you've had fun learning some interesting facts about polar bears and other animals. Okay, that wraps up this lesson. We'll see you next time. Take care.